Alright, so now we come to the fun part where we need to stitch these pieces together. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start over with the magwell, tab into edit mode, 2 for edge select, and then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab that inside loop, grab in the Z axis, and then just pull that down so it's kind of out of the way. I'm going to go to face select, hold control, and then select these front faces here, like so. I'll actually deselect that one. And then what we're going to do is we'll come out of isolation mode, and I'm going to do I for inset, B for boundary. So it basically goes to the top there. And then I'm just going to kind of place it right in line with the lower assembly. And then we'll bring it into isolation again with /. I'm going to press E to extrude, press X to lock it in the X axis, and just bump it back just a bit. Then I'll press X, delete that face, and then I'm going to select this face, and there's a bottom face as well, right here, and we'll press X, and we'll delete those faces, and we'll fill those in later, kind of towards the end. Come out of isolation mode and tab into object mode. Let's work on the lower assembly and join it to the magwell. The first thing I'll want to do is I want to even it up. So let's go ahead and Alt Z, select everything on this side. And then I'm just going to grab in the Z axis and just kind of bring it down. Somewhere around there. Looks alright. I'm going to disable the subsurf modifier, shift select the magwell, isolate those two pieces, and then I'll tab them into edit mode here. Let's go to vertex select with 1. And then the way we can do this is, I think to make it easier, we will extrude an inside face, and then we'll just kind of marry up the edges or the vertices together. So let's do the magwell, and then we are going to press 2, hold Alt, and then Shift Alt. Oops, I don't want that piece there. That one. And then we can do Shift S, cursor to selected. We'll press E to extrude. It's kind of like this. And then we'll just right click, it'll snap it back. And then we have that edge is still there, so we can scale it in the Y. But I need to make sure my pivot point is the 3D cursor, so scale in the Y. And then we'll just give ourselves a little lip so it's a little bit easier for us to join. So now if I shift select lower assembly, tab into edit mode, press 1 for vertex select, we can then try to join these two sides up. So I'll select this side first, Shift S, cursor there, and I'm going to hold this side, this last vertex here, go kind of near the bottom, hold Control, it'll click everything in between, and then what we can do is we want to scale in the Y and in the X, but not the Z. So we'll press S, Shift Z, and then 0, so it zeroes it out to the 3D cursor. Kind of like that. So now what we can do is we can do the same thing on the other side, I guess, real quick. So we'll do Shift S, cursor there, and then we will Control click, scale, Shift Z, 0. All right. Now if I grab this, you can see that piece is there. So I'm just going to Shift S, put the cursor there, and then I'll scale and just 0, and it zeroes it out everywhere. And then we'll basically just repeat these steps for all these different vertices here. Now for this one, we can join this one here, that one can go there, so we probably need an edge loop here. So we'll do Control R, Shift S, cursor there, scale to 0, and then Shift S, scale to 0. Now I'm marrying the sides to the flat piece here, so make sure you can do it the other way, but make sure you're consistent when you do it across both sides. That way you won't have any weird shading. So be careful on where you put your 3D cursor, basically. Alright, so we have an extra loop here, so we'll need one on this side. Shift S, cursor there, scale 0. We're just following the edge flow here. Scale 0, Shift S, and scale 0. And we don't have a edge here, so we'll do Control R, but this time we'll do it on the lower assembly. And we'll Shift S, bring the cursor there. Select this vertex, S to scale, 0, and that brings it out. And I think that's a good place to stop right there. We'll wait on the bottom part because we have a bevel that we're going to have to deal with. Let's go ahead and repeat these steps for the other side. Alright, so now we're down at the bevel portion. So the way we're going to handle this, I think we're going to tab into Object, come out of Isolation with /. This piece, the trigger guard, the way we're going to have to marry it, it's going to be easier if we could bring it up, just because the way we're joining into this mesh here, it's going to be difficult if it's the bottom part of this cutout. So I want to bring this up. So what we can do is let's grab in the Z. We'll bring this up by itself. And that's probably just going to do right around there. But when we do that, we're going to lose some height that we have to account for on this side now. So let's go back into this piece. And we're actually going to bring this up because we have a little bit of room between these two loop cuts here. So we'll go to Edge Select. This will be a little tricky to see. I'm going to select this top loop here. Frame into that. And then I'm going to go to the far end and just hold Control, and it'll build out that selection. And then I need to Shift, select that one, and then go to the other side and do Shift Control. It'll build the selection there, and then Shift, select that bottom one here. And then I can come over to this side and Shift Control and select that. And then we're basically just going to do that for all these horizontal loops. So Shift and then Shift Control, Shift, and then Shift Control, and then Shift, and Shift Control, and then we need to do the other side for this bevel over here. And last edge loop here, Shift Control. So now if I grab in the Z axis, it moves the whole unit. I can't go past that edge loop, otherwise I'll get weird artifacting, but it gives me a little bit of room to kind of play with. So now we can see roughly how far we need to come up. Probably it'd be ideal if we can go this high, but we can't. So we're going to give ourselves a little bit of space here, and then we'll just make sure we didn't cross over any edge loops. Looks like we didn't, so I think that'll be good. And that'll show more of the trigger guard assembly as well. So now with that done, we can shift select the mag well, isolate those, tab into edit mode, and we can work on this bevel. And now we know where to actually move the bevel. So what we're going to do is just hold Alt. We'll do Control B, and we'll roll our mouse wheel so we have 3 segments, and just make it pretty small. We're going to do a shape of 0.25, and that's to prevent some of the pinching. We'll work on the pinching later. We can actually space out these edges on certain parts of the mesh, but we need 3 segments to join up these vertices over here. Alright, so I can grab these vertices here and shift grab these vertices, and then just to make so I can see it a little better, I'll just pull them back a bit in the x-axis. And then it's just kind of more of the same here, so we're going to Shift S there. We'll select the top one, scale to 0. We'll go 1 down, Shift S, cursor there. And we'll scale that vertex to 0. And we'll go to the final one at the bottom, move cursor, scale to 0. And then we're just going to repeat that on this side. Scale 0, and Shift S and scale 0, and then just check to make sure your shape makes sense. You didn't cross over any lines. If you did, you might have just undo and kind of make sure you followed it so that the lines make sense, basically. And I think that pretty much completes the mag well in the lower assembly, so we can now weld it together. So we'll tab back into object mode. I'll select the mag wheel first, shift select the lower assembly last, so it's my pivot point. Press Control J, so it joins them so they're one mesh. Tab and do object mode, or I'm sorry, edit mode. And if you were using the 3D pivot point to snap the vertices together, they're going to be in the same place. So there's a few ways you can weld it, but if you did that, you just press A, select all vertices, M to merge, do by distance. You see we removed 30 vertices. So now this should be basically one shape, and you should have pretty good shading going across those little crevices there. And we can tighten some of these bends to be closer to the edge with an edge loop, but we'll want to do that at the end when we have the trigger guard assembly put in. But let's go ahead and / come out of isolation. We will shift select the trigger guard and the lower assembly now. / to isolate those. Tab into edit mode, and then we need to figure out how we're going to join these. So I'm going to come to face select. For these two, I'm going to press X, and I'm actually going to delete only faces. The reason I'm doing that is so I have the vertices remaining, because there's an edge loop in the middle of the lower assembly, so I might as well use it rather than having to recreate it. So, but for over here, I am going to just get rid of all these vertices actually, or these faces I mean, because I don't need those. And then I think I can get rid of all these faces as well. Yeah, I think that'll be all right. So we'll make that work. All right, and then we're just going to use the bottom part of the, I guess you have a few options. You could use top or bottom. If you use the top, it's going to create a curve upward, which could look nice. I'm going to try doing the bottom, so it's more, my gun block is going to be more blocky. So it's kind of like the style you want, I guess. So I'll do Shift S, cursor there, And then we're just going to scale to 0. And then do that for all your vertice points that you have around here. Scale to 0. Now I don't have an edge loop here, so I want to place one that kind of makes sense. So Control R, and I can just slide it forward around there. And scale each of these vertices that are sticking out, like so. And then we'll want to delete those faces once we merge everything, but we won't worry about it right now. And then we will worry about the back faces towards the end as well. Let's work on this stuff here. Alright, so what we'll do is I'm going to probably space these out so I can click here and then Control. Actually, let's do this. Let's do Control R. And we'll add a loop there. Then we'll select that vertice there. And then we can Control select that, Shift, and then Shift Control, and then Shift S, cursor to selected, it'll put in the middle. Pivot points 3D cursor so you can scale in the Y. And just kind of push these out, like so. Now the next thing we need to do is we need the same number of edge cuts vertically as we do horizontally. So we can marry these two there, but it looks like we need another one over here. So we'll do Control R. And then what I can do is probably just grab these. Oops. Just grab these 4, I believe it is. See how that looks. Yeah, that looks alright. Another way you can do it actually too, you can just grab the top and line it up that way. Alright, and then Control R here, right click, and then I'm just going to scale or edge slide that one over there, and then we need one right there, and then another one right there. We'll use that one there, then we need a bunch over here. So Control R, add an edge loop there, and then just repeat that and line them up as close as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect, because the subsurf will hide a lot of your imperfections at the end. And then we could probably just grab Alright, I think that looks good. Now we just need to join these up, so this will be a little bit tedious. Probably be speeding this process up, but pretty much the same. Shift S, cursor there, scale 0, rinse and repeat for all the different vertices in the center and on the sides. Alright, so now the vertices should be lying on top of one another, so we should be able to join them together. To do that, let's tab into Object. We'll select Trigger Guard first, Shift select the assembly, Control J, it's one object, tab back into Edit, press A to select all vertices, M to merge, select by distance. You should notice a bunch of vertices go away. What you can do now is, I believe these two faces can go. Let's turn on our subsurf. Yeah, I don't think we can get rid of this face. No, we can't. So that face stays. You'll notice the little dip here. So we just select these faces here. Press X, delete them. And I think we have an extra edge loop here. I have a few. Alright, so we can get rid of these. Oops. Let's just delete one at a time. Delete that edge. And delete that edge. Oops. And you should have something kind of like this. Now if you would have used the top loop, you can see it kind of is pretty much flat, but there's a little bit of a bow. But if you would have did it the other way, you would have had a nice curve or bend inward, which can look nice depending on the design you're going for. And then you can add a bevel and accentuate that as well. But now we need to work on the back. So let's turn our subsurf off and let's see how we can join this together. So we need to Control R over here. Oops. And add an edge loop, maybe around there. And then we could probably, we'll press 1, select these two vertices, F to fill. And then if we go to edge select, shift select, press F, we'll fill that face like that. And then we'll need another edge loop here. And select these two vertices, F to fill. Come into edge mode, select those two edges, fill that. Press 1, Control R. Wait, do I need to, let's see, there. No, I don't. Okay, so what we can do, what's this edge loop used for? Can that be brought up? I think it can. So let's do Alt, GG, slide that up. That looks fine. Make sure to have a glance around your model. Make sure that doesn't mess with anything or cause any weird pinching. And it looks like we can get away with it, so we'll do that. All right, then we'll select that vertice, shift select, F to fill, go to edge mode with 2, shift select 2 edges, and then fill them there. Then 1, shift select, F to fill. I can probably GG edge slide that down. I don't think that's gonna mess with me at all. And then shift select and fill. And then we'll be able to repeat that to the other side. The tricky part is gonna be here. We have to figure out how we want to join these two pieces together. So, Control R, we need an edge loop in the middle, and then we need, it looks like 2 more. So we'll do Control R here, and then Control R over here. select this inside face, GG. Kind of lines up with that edge there. And same thing with this one, GG, edge slide. Now we need a loop cut on this side to match that one. So that'll be our join part there. And those will fit together nicely. So let's actually probably do that. So let's do Shift S, cursor there, scale 0. Then Shift S, cursor there, and then scale 0. Probably would have been easier if I just merged it last thinking about it, but it's okay. I'll do it on this one. So you can also just shift select that one, merge at last or first, depending on which order you did. That way those two vertices are connected. Since it's one piece, that'll work. That wouldn't have worked last time. Alright, now trying to stick with quads here. So I need to basically cut out another space here, it looks like. So Control R, put that over here. And I can Shift F to fill. Select that, fill it. That looks okay. So let's do that on this side real quick. So a lot of modeling is just problem solving, just figuring out the best routes to go. And then Shift select there, F to fill, edge select. That looks good. So now we need to marry a vertex here and there. So let's do Control R. And then we can Shift select here, do F to fill, 2. And I think we can get away with that. Same thing on this side. Edge loop carries over, Shift select, F to fill, 2 to go to edge select, F to fill. And now we just have, looks like this n-gon over here, but actually thinking about it, I know a better way I could have went about this. So let's actually undo all that so we get rid of this edge loop, like that. Instead, I bet you we can Shift S, cursor there, Shift select those two vertices, and then Shift select these two vertices, and I bet you if we scale in the X to 0, that is not going to mess with anything. Oops. And then we can just use that one edge here, and then fill that. I think we'll have a better time with that. Yeah, I don't think we'll get too much stretching here. Fill that. And fill that. And that looks pretty okay. So now we just need to do that on this side. So fill that. Fill that. I'm going to reset my view, frame selected. I'll Shift select, fill that, fill that. And did I, oh, that didn't carry over because we had that cut out on the other side, so we'll have to add that loop again. Around there. Oops. Let's see, where do I want that? No. Let's Alt select that loop again. Oh, it does go around. Okay, so that might be tricky. Let's undo that loop then. Wait, maybe I don't need to, that's why. I'm just messing up. Okay, so let's do, so we brought that loop up on this side, it looks like. So 2 Alt. Can't edge slide that one, but come around this way. I could probably get away with that. Shift select fill. Shift select fill. I'm just gonna GG to slide that one down. 2 edge select. So a couple edges, we'll fill them in. And I think that gets us pretty close to good. So now what you'll probably want to do after doing all that is double check your face orientation. That looks pretty good. Yeah, okay, I think we'll be all right there. So then we'll tick that off. Turn our subsurf on. See if we messed up any shading here. We probably will have some pinching there. Looks like we do. Let's go back into edit mode. 2 to edge select. We'll hold Alt. And we should be able to put this back. I think we're done with it. So grab with G, lock in the Z, and just put it up a bit so it doesn't like get in the way of anything. And then for the pinching, you can probably select here, maybe go there, GG. Oops. And then we'll probably go here and GG. Just get a little extra space, and then that pinching goes away. And now it's 1 unit. It's all quads. I think. Actually, I think we have some tries on the back. So we did pretty good staying in the quads, which if you did, it means you can tighten up your geometry by adding loop cuts all around the various edges. And you can explore and see if your shade looks any better. With having some more defined edges. Which in a lot of cases it does. Although it depends entirely on the model and what you're going for. Sometimes you like a softer look, sometimes you like a blockier look. Sort of like that there. And then for this edge loop here, if this cutout is too harsh for you, what you can do is I'm gonna GG and slide that one over. You can do a Control R. Actually, before you do that, select a vertex that's in a good spot, like Shift S, cursor to selected, and then we could probably borrow the edge loop, but I'll make a new one just to be safe, and then place it over here. And then I'm just going to select this vertex all the way down to this vertex. And then I can scale in the Y to 0. You can see it pops it out. It basically keeps it straight past whatever line you want to go. So you can move that further in if you wanted to as well, to control that sort of where the metal folds. And then if you wanted to do that on the other side, just come over here. Pick a good spot, move your cursor there, and then whatever edge loop you're using to control that flow, just use Control click to build up the selection right to the edge, scale it in the Y to 0. It'll pop it, so you have that defined crease wherever you're looking to place it. For me, it probably made more sense to move it further in, somewhere around this edge maybe. But I'm actually okay with that for now. So we can come out of isolation mode. And I know this one was a bit long, but that pretty much completes the lower receiver. So we'll try working on the upper receiver in the next video, but thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.